Hello everyone, welcome to the Nasty Dynasty, where we teach you how to be nasty. Today, I will be sharing our first self-development book review, which is High Performance Habits by Burchard. I'm sure many of you don't really know who he is, so let me just give you a brief introduction. There was this phase in my life in early 2018 where I was actively seeking to become a better person. Then, one day, I chanced upon his videos which talk about having confidence, self-love, and I watched quite a few of them. I think I binge-watched most of them, and this was before the 2x speed function even came along. So Burchard is actually a well-known speaker, a high-performance coach, as well as, obviously, a writer. His videos about the charged life taught me a lot about how I should approach people as well as how I should love myself. And that's why, last year, I actually got this book over here, which is about habit building. But wait, don't click off the video yet. I'm not going to teach you to exercise or wake up at 5 AM. No, this book is way more than that. This book goes in depth into how high performers function, as well as what personal and social habits they incorporate into their daily lifestyle to generate and sustain their high performance. So let me first explain how you would spot a high performer.
High performers are more successful than their peers, yet they are less stressed. High performers love challenges and are more confident that they will achieve their goals despite adversity. High performers are healthier than their peers. High performers are happy. High performers are admired. High performers get better grades and reach higher positions of success. High performers work passionately regardless of traditional rewards. High performers are assertive for the right reasons. High performers see and serve beyond their strengths. High performers are unique, productive, and they have mastered prolific quality output. High performers are adaptive servant leaders.
Today, we'll be talking about 3 personal and 3 social habits, which are to seek clarity, to generate energy, to raise necessity, to increase productivity, to develop influence, as well as finally, to demonstrate courage. Burchard also gave some tips and tricks at the end of his book, so stay till the end of this video to take your first step into becoming a high performer. For this video, let's use Bob, who is the head designer of the production of Digimon toys, as an example of a to-be high performer, and go through his habits one by one. First, let's talk about seeking clarity. He realized that his team hasn't been having fruitful discussions lately, and hence he decided that he needs to listen to his teammates more. Bob starts to visualize himself listening to the feedback of his team members and having more open discussions, and immediately acts upon it. Learn from Bob. Bob doesn't wait for when tomorrow comes. Bob realizes that as the head designer, his primary field of interest should lie in analyzing design trends as well as presenting the data and possible ideas to the design team. Bob decides to invest in his education and enroll for courses to learn the skills that he requires. Do note that the skills that Bob needs to learn and the skills that we need to learn will differ depending on our primary field of interest, which does not necessarily need to be work-related. It can always be something that we want to learn more about, not as generalists, but as specialists, because high performers tend to turn their passion into proficiencies. Bob doesn't just do the minimum and let every day go by just because he's getting paid the same amount of money every month. Instead, Bob always gives his 101% in contributing to the company and the team, while constantly thinking about ways to improve himself such that he can be a more valuable asset to the company and his team. Remember, no goals, no clarity, no change. For the second personal habit, let's talk about generating energy. Energy is something generated from our thoughts and our feelings, and with high energy comes high performance. Bob has a very naggy wife. Every night before he comes home, he will release the tension and set his intentions. He closes his eyes and he tells himself that everything that happened at work stays at work, and reminds himself of how he wants to treat his wife like the best lady on earth. Bob is able to recognize his emotions and proficiently control his feelings. Burchard encourages us to do what Bob does when transitioning from task to task, even if it's from eating to working, so that we are aware of how we want to generate energy and react accordingly to the different situations we will face. Bob also tries his best to bring the joy. High performers try to be positive because it gives them greater control of themselves. Bob tries to be positive as well, thinking about all the small things in life that makes him feel very grateful. and also thinking about the 6 ways to be more positive. Bob also makes sure that he exercises regularly to optimize his health. By exercising regularly, Bob is also able to raise his physical, mental, and emotional energy levels. We should not dismiss the ideas of taking care of ourselves, saying that we don't even have time for it. By taking care of ourselves, we will also be able to indirectly improve our working performance. Some of you guys might be thinking, "Walao, being positive is so fake. You're basically lying to yourself and your friends." I actually thought about it, and when I discussed it with my friends, I realized that there's a huge difference between forcing ourselves to always be positive and recognizing our emotions and knowing how we want to feel according to the situation. I believe that being positive is fake only when we hide our intentions. But as high performers, we control our feelings and express our intention in a positive way. Thirdly, let's discuss about raising necessity with 2 internal and 2 external forces. The first is identity. Do you ever have try-hard friends that try to excel in every situation? Well, Bob is one of them, because it is part of his own personal standards of excellence. This is regardless of the task's nature or whether they even want to do it or not. For example, if a student council president exhibits qualities of a high performer, you will see him performing equally as well in national service as he did during his time in student council. The second internal force is obsession. High performers always desire something, be it knowledge or skills, which in turn serves as a form of motivation, sustaining them throughout their entire journey of development with newly found happiness and purpose. Moving on to external forces, high performers feel social duty, obligation, or purpose. High performers feel the need to constantly serve people, and when they offer help, it is an obligation, not a choice. Do not be mistaken, high performers do not help others because they feel external pressure from them. Instead, when they notice that the people around them need them, their own expectations of themselves helping others creates internal pressure. He reminds himself every day that his team needs him as a leader, and that his CEO needs him to help drive the company to greater heights, further enforcing his sense of purpose. Speaking of purpose, high performers constantly reflect on the why, which sustains the necessity to succeed. For Bob, he has an open mind and wants to learn new ways to achieve his goals, further enforcing his path to fulfilling his purpose of spreading joy to children across the world. The second external force will be about urgency, where high performers know how to skillfully manage their deadlines. As such, they know what to prioritize first, and they work extremely well under pressure. A bonus point that Burchard mentions is to level up your squad. High performers tend to associate with other high performers, making developing very easy because all of you have similar goals and aspirations and can continuously motivate each other. We will also tend to pick up good habits and learn from the people closest to us. Now that we have finished talking about personal habits, let's move on to the first of the 3 social habits, which is to increase productivity. The more productive we are, the more we will be valued for our efficiency, which leads to us being more happy. Let's talk about how increasing our productivity can help with our work-life balance. We often hear people saying that they spend too much time at work and that their work doesn't allow them to have proper work-life balance. However, the next time you hear someone saying this, can you please ask them, what do you determine as a good work-life balance? For Bob, he first acknowledges what is the work-life balance that he wishes to pursue. From there, he reflects and he plans goals on how he plans on improving the quality of the other aspects of his life, rather than the quantity of hours spent. To ensure productivity at work, Bob always creates a to-do list at the start of the day and ensures that he does not get interrupted or gets distracted during the day. This is to ensure productivity and also provides him with a sense of accomplishment when he realizes that he has finished all his tasks. Bob also takes 2 to 5 minutes breaks between fixed blocks of focused working time. By taking regular breaks, he rejuvenates his mind and not get burnt out, while increasing his productivity such that he feels more fulfilled and more happy. Bob also knows that his area of focus lies in analyzing design trends rather than finding the perfect format and font to send emails. In this case, we can say that analyzing design trends is Bob's prolific quality output, which in turn means the skill that he requires in order to succeed. By knowing and working on his prolific quality output, he will then improve his efficiency and quality of his work, making him more happy during his job. Unlike most people, Bob doesn't feel that work takes up a huge portion of his life, mainly because he doesn't feel unhappy during work, like most underperformers. By underperforming, negative feelings can get carried forward from our work to our personal lives, making us feel that we do not have the work-life balance that we desire. The second social habit is to develop influence. Bob will ask his team for help and suggestions, which makes his team feel that they are needed and relied on, which makes them want to contribute more. Bob encourages his team to think and ask for feedback, making everything sound more like a discussion rather than him forcing his opinions on them. He also wants his team to grow and challenges them in a positive way rather than bringing them down. Instead of being like,
"Hey, Sally, your this draft like shit, you know. Can you go and buck up?"
he can be like,
Hey Sally, this is really not bad for the first draft, but I think that from your past works, you show so much more potential, and I think that you can really improve on this for the second draft. Let's work on these areas, can we?
by changing the way his team thinks and challenging them to grow, the team will eventually look up to Bob as a role model. Even today, Bob is still seeking ways to improve, as well as learning from other people so that he can develop influence and increase his performance. Finally, we have come to the last social habit, which is to demonstrate courage. Being courageous makes us happier because we don't fear challenges as much, and we are also more confident as a person. The first step in overcoming anything requires the most courage, while the subsequent steps will be so much easier and we will fear it less and less. Burchard uses an example of going to the gym. Let's say you don't know anything about exercising, and it takes so much courage for you to step into the gym where there are so many big boys and big girls all around looking at you. However, the more times that you go inside the gym, the more you get used to it and you start to learn more about the different exercises. There will eventually come a point where you don't even fear going to the gym at all. To demonstrate courage, Bob loves to honor the struggle. Today, we have been increasingly lazy and unwilling to face hardship. This all draws down to our individual mindsets and how badly we want to improve ourselves. Bob is smart, but he doesn't feel that being smart means that you have to always try to find the easiest way out of things. He knows that he has to work hard to achieve whatever he wants, and he appreciates those struggles. We should adopt a mindset that hardship is very beneficial for all of us and that we can learn many things from it. Sharing our truth and ambitions is also another form of demonstrating courage. When we are able to show our true face and opinions to people without being ashamed of ourselves, we have already mastered a high level of courage. Remember to always be who you are and don't change for the people that criticize you and constantly tries to bring you down. Instead, seek to improve yourself to meet the expectations of those that challenge you to be a better and more positive version of yourself. Burchard mentions this quote: "If you are afraid of the truth, then you have yet to find the truth." If we are afraid to share about ourselves, it might mean that we have yet to discover our true worth and that we should love and appreciate ourselves more and stop undervaluing ourselves. In Singapore today, we often get criticized for the smallest of things, like for example, getting 1 mark higher than your friend who didn't even study. Do not fear success, and do not fear people criticizing you for being better than them. The true people who will stick by you will support you, lift you, and energize you. Your true friends will not appreciate someone holding themselves back for others, not being true to yourself, your ambitions, and your fullest potential. To start off this habit, we can always start by forming a solid connection with just one person. After that, we can slowly take steps to voicing out our truth and ambitions to more and more people. With that, we have covered the 3 personal and 3 social habits to high performance. From this book, I learned that we have to constantly reflect and be more aware of our thoughts and emotions. For most, if not all of the habits that Burchard mentions, we already know of them and we may already be executing them. However, if we are only executing these habits instinctively, instead of upon command and according to the way that we want to, we cannot really call it a habit, can we? We should ensure that we set goals for each habit and ensure that we follow up on them, as well as progressively increasing the difficulty of each goal. For me, I definitely need to work on my self-awareness as well as incorporating all these habits into my daily life. I will be starting journaling so as to constantly reflect upon myself, while actively seeking clarity, generating energy, raising necessity, improving productivity, developing influence, and demonstrating courage. I will definitely recommend this book to anyone who wishes to improve their performance, raise their level of happiness, as well as gain more control over their hectic lifestyles. Thank you so much for staying to the end, and I hope you learned something from this video. I will see you next Monday, where I will be sharing on the #1 mindset shift that I took to fight social anxiety. Always remember, stay nasty.